Listen, everybody's sleeping on this main event at UFC Baku. Everybody's thinking that Fiziev is the better guy just because he's fought Justin Gaethje, the champion of the division. But everybody's underestimating Manuel El Loco Torres. Fiziev, don't get me wrong, he's still dangerous. He's still technical, one of the best strikers in the division. But are we watching Fiziev in 2021 Fiziev? We don't know. That's not the only crazy fight in this card. You know what I mean? We also have Shara Bullet. We also against Michel Pereira. That's a UFC 6. I'm sure a bunch of people have been playing that on UFC 6 so far this weekend. But anyways, let's not waste any time. Let's go over to the UFC Baku predictions. All right. So let's start off. Full disclosure. This is the first time here in this channel we're doing a full card prediction. We've always done a main card prediction. But hey, before the McGregor fight, which is super stacked, let's go ahead and train my channel a little bit, okay? Let's go over to the prelims of UFC Baku. And let's start off with Tahir Abdullayev against Jefferson Nascimento. And guys, this is probably the lowest confidence fight or pick, because definitely both guys are UFC debutants, and this is their debuts. But guys, I'm leaning towards the guy that has had the better competition. Let me just give you that right off the bat, right? We have Nascimento, who's been fighting at LFA, and then we got Abdullayev, who's been fighting some low-level competition. Now, I believe Abdullayev is going to be closing in as a favorite on this one. As you can see, this fight is at welterweight, and his previous fight was at welterweight. Nascimento has been fighting at lightweight. It's just a mystery fight, guys, but I'm going to take Nascimento because he's been fighting the best opposition at arguably a better promotion as well in LFA. So I'm going to go with Nascimento taking this against the hometown kid in Abdullayev. But hey, the lowest confidence pick right here on the card, in my opinion. So let's move over to this fight right here, guys, is, I don't know why it's second up in the prelims. It should be in the main event. I mean, the main card. It should. Begzat Almakhan against John Matsumoto. And these guys are pretty good, man. These guys are pretty good. But just looking at it, we got a 5'7" Almakhan against a 5'6" Matsumoto. Matsumoto relies on his grappling. Almakhan has good takedown defense, but not great. All right, not great. We saw his fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. We saw him fight, better opposition than what Matsumoto has been getting, right? But anyways, two good fighters, really. Really don't sleep on this fight. Matsumoto has had some close fights against Rob Font and Farid Basharat. But guys, Almakhan is coming off a loss. He's coming off a loss. Let's go again. Who's he coming off a loss against? Almakhan. I know I remember this. It was a good opponent. Let me see who it was. He's coming off a loss against Alexander Topuria. Yeah, before that, he beat Brock Katona. Oh, a crazy knockout. I remember that. And before that, he lost against Umar Nurmagomedov, where he actually dropped Umar Nurmagomedov early. But then Umar kind of grappled his way into a victory. John Matsumoto just lost against Farid Basharat. But before that, he won a split decision against Miles Johns. Guys, I was going to go with John Matsumoto, but I'm going to go with Bekzat Almakhan to get this done. He's the hometown, well, not hometown, but closest to hometown. So let me go with Bekzat Almakhan to get this done by decision, okay? Yes. I think he's been fighting. The strength of schedule is much better. So I'm going to go with Bekzat Almakhan. Again, the strength of that, he fought Farid Basharat and he fought Umar Nurmagomedov. Those are good fighters. And then he's got a win over Brad Katona. Brad Katona is not the same Brad Katona as before, but still, he slept him. So let's go ahead and go with Bekzat Almakhan. All right, let's move on to the next one. One of my favorite fighters, another ultimate, well, actually, Brad Katona was an ultimate fighter. Daniil Dachenko, winner of the Tough of last year, was it? I think it was last year, right? Let's go with Daniil Dachenko versus Berggren. And guys, Daniil Dachenko is just gonna beat the heck out of Berggren. But Berggren supposed to be a good prospect in the UFC. He's 8-3. He's coming off a win in FCR Cage Warriors, 2 losses, 1 by submission. But Daniil Dachenko has just been on a tear. His last win was against Alex Morono, and Alex Morono, that was his retirement fight. So he was taking shots that I don't know how Alex Morono, I don't know how Alex Morono was taking those shots, but he did survive all 3 rounds against Daniil Dachenko. I don't know if Theodore Berggren is going to be able to withstand all that pressure, but by Daniil Dachenko, especially because he hasn't fought this level of fighter. So I'm going to go with Daniil Dachenko to get this done. TKO round 2. I'm going to go with that. Maybe a TKO round 1. It's just he hits hard. He loads up on punches. And this is a showcase fight for Daniil Dachenko, in my opinion. But he still has to prove that he can keep up the same pace throughout the fight, because in the Alex Morono fight, if I'm not mistaken, Alex Morono won that 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. But let's go with Daniil Dachenko to get this done early. I think he could get this done, really. Tough winner, right? The Ultimate Fighter winner. All right, let's move on to Khan Offley, coming off a robbery win against Javier Reyes. Sorry about that. Javier Reyes, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a champion at LFA. Let's go to the page right here real quick. And Javier Reyes, was he a champion at LFA? If I'm not, yeah, I think he was, wasn't he? Or a different promotion. I don't remember, but he was a champion of some low-level promotion. Yeah. He did fight at LFA. He went 2-2. He's coming off a win, TKO win against Douglas Silva de Andrade, where Douglas Silva de Andrade is tough. And he actually knocked him down in the 1st round to Javier Reyes. So he's pretty chinny. And Khan Offley, he doesn't have too much power. But guys, I was watching my guy Fight Night Picks, and he took Offley, so I'm gonna roll with him. This is an underdog pick. I think he's gonna close as a pretty good underdog, so I'm gonna take him for the pick. I'm gonna take Offley to get this done, especially because he's coming off a robbery. He needs to show that that was a fluke, and people need to forget that as quick as possible. He's taking this in pretty good timing, really. So I'm going to go with Khan Offley against Javier Reyes. Khan Offley is another Ultimate Fighter here. So I'm going to go with Konofsky to get this done via decision. I don't see him sleeping Javier Reyes, but Javier Reyes is pretty big for the division. He's got to cut a lot of weight for 145. So I'm thinking, he's probably not going to get in there with lots of stamina. And Konofsky, he's pretty good as far as grappling and, takedown defense and all that. So I'm going to go with Konofsky to get this done via decision. All right, let's move on to another fun fight. Maybe a one-sider if once it's all said and done. I think Ruziboev is a better fighter than Puliaev. So I don't know. I just don't know what Puliaev does well to get this win, really. Except he's got good defense on the feet, He's got some good defense, rolls with punches and everything. So, he survived against Atiba Gautier, but lately he has been surviving, really. Puliaev is kind of like that guy. That's why they put him up against Atiba Gautier, because he's a pretty good stand-up defense guy, right? But doesn't have a lot of power, doesn't have a lot of, doesn't grapple well. So I'm going to go with Ruziboev to get this done via submission. He's from Uzbekistan, another kind of hometown guy. So I'm going to go with Ruziboev to get this done via submission. Look at this guy's record, 36-9-2. That's pretty crafty right there. So, but again, if it ends up not going to the ground and Ruziboev just fluking it out, Puliaev can get a decision win, So I'm going to go with Ruziboev to get this done as submission, because I don't really think that can happen. But the younger fighter is Puliaev. He's got the advantage on the reach, and also throws more significant strikes per minute, as you can see here in these stats. It's just, I think that Ruziboev is pretty crafty and can get a submission, maybe round 2 sub. All right. So let's move on to another showcase fight. We got Abdul Rahman Yaghyayev. Abdul Rahman Yaghyayev against Julius Walker. And Julius Walker he's just bad, guys. He's just bad. This is a showcase win for Yaghyayev. As you can see, Julius Walker is 6'4" against a 6'2" in Yaghyayev, but Yaghyayev is pretty, he's just wide. But Julius Walker doesn't even have the advantage on the reach. They both are orthodox, but look at that. Julius Walker is just going to try to spam double legs the whole time. And Yaghyayev is just going to be sprawling. And I could just see him sprawling and just hitting up elbows, getting mount position, and just trying to get this fight over with as soon as possible. So I'm going to go with Yaghyayev to get this done. I just don't think that Julius Walker is that fighter that's going to be able to make Yaghyayev work. But we can see Julius Walker get a takedown. It's just Yaghyayev is gonna find himself on top position pretty quick, just being the stronger fighter. So I'm gonna go with Abdul Rahman Yaghyayev to get this done. People are saying submission. First round sub. Julius Walker getting subbed out, not sure. I think he's just he's pretty chinny. He's just gonna get a TK. Yaghyayev is gonna get a TKO win. Julius Walker is gonna shell up. Yaghyayev is gonna be raining elbows and get him out of there in round 1. So, but plus, there's plus money on round 2. So if Yaghyayev is pretty patient and gets this over in the second round, that plus money is pretty good. So you might want to check that out in your book. All right. Farmar Hazanov against Eric Nolan. And guys, This is crazy, right? This is really crazy. Eric Nolan is this is his second fight and it's going against Farmar. I've seen Farmar. Somebody told me in the chat that to watch out for Farmar. Shout out to Matua. He told me that Farmar is pretty good. So I checked him out. He's very athletic. He's got power. He's got the wrestling. But I just think that Eric Nolan is, 8-4, very crafty record there. He gave problems to Baisangur Susurkaev, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jenny told me that he sustained an injury in that second round. So I'm gonna go with Eric Nolan. To get this done. And this might be my other underdog pick. And again, one of my lowest picks here, lowest confidence picks, but I'm going to go with Eric Nolan to get this done against a UFC debutant, right? This is his first fight, if I'm not mistaken, again in the UFC for Farmar. Yeah, this is his first fight, and he's been fighting at LFA. He's got last two were finishes against against undefeated fighter in Fazilov. But I don't know, guys. I'm gonna go with Eric Nolan. He's from Milwaukee up there. I heard Fight Night Picks told me that he's been looking for somebody to corner him, so he's probably not going in there as and he's probably not going in there with tons of confidence. But I just believe in his experience, the pressure, the boxing. He's got good boxing too. So I'm gonna go with Eric Nolan to get this done, guys. All right. Moving on too. And he's also younger too. They got him at 28 years old. And he's over there from Milwaukee, the Midwest. So these fighters are pretty strong over there, man. They're pretty good. So let's move on to the main card. Opening the main card, we got Abus Magomedov against Michel Oleksiejczuk. And guys, definitely, Abus Magomedov is not the same guy as of late. He's been getting stopped pretty easy. His gas tank is just fluking off. He's not been the same lately. He's coming off a loss against Joe Pyfer. Before that, he had a decision win against Michel Pereira, and everybody's been chinning Michel Pereira. Before that, he submitted Bruno Ferreira. Before that, he had a decision win against Warley Alves. And then before that, he lost against Caio Borraio. He's at minus 120. But that fight against Joe Pyfer, he got submitted by Joe Pyfer. I don't know, guys. And Michal Oleksiejczuk, ever since he made that switch over to the Fighting Nerds, has been looking good. He's a different fighter. He let me down in his last fight, but he was able to get a win. His gas tank was not all there, but he still seemed pretty good. He's got some good boxing. He doesn't rely too much on his wrestling anymore. I'm gonna go with a decision or maybe a late TKO because Abus Magomedov's gas tank is not like it used to. All right, or ever. Right. So if Abus Magomedov doesn't get a submission in round one, we're just gonna see everything go downhill because Michal Oleksiejczuk has been looking pretty good. That Polish power, brother. So I'm gonna go with Michal Oleksiejczuk to open up the main card of the UFC Baku card. All right. Then we got a pretty fun fight, but in my opinion, it's just a one-sided affair for Ikram Aliskerov. Somebody's getting finished here, but I'm gonna believe in the power of Ikram. I think Ikram is pretty crafty on the feet. He also has some good wrestling. Not that he uses it much, but this fight is not gonna reach round 2. Bruno Ferreira is pretty chinny and showed it with that, that RoboCop. He just touched him, bing, and put him to sleep. I think Aliskerov has faster hands than RoboCop. So he could get there against Bruno Ferreira, who has, he's got some wins in the UFC, but they're not, they're not like high level like Ikram Aliskerov, who's a top 15 middleweight. So I'm gonna go with Ikram to get this done, So actually, you know what? I'm gonna take Ikram to get this done in the first round, first minute of the first round. Let's do that. He's just gonna go in there. He hasn't fought in probably a long time. Let me see when was Ikram's last fight. Ikram's last fight was, maybe I'm just crazy, but yeah, October 2025. It's been a long time since Ikram has fought. So I'm gonna go with Ikram to get this done early round 1 and get that winning streak going. He's won his last 2 ever since that loss he had against Robert Whittaker. So I'm gonna go with Ikram to get this done round 1, first minute of round 1. Okay. All right, let's move on to Asu Abmabayev against Charles Unk Johnson. Guys, Charles Johnson is the king of ruining people's parlays. He is. He's a staple in the flyweight division. I saw some of his videos and his weight cut is going great. Pretty good. He's 5'9". He's much bigger than Asu Abmabayev. A lot bigger because he actually fights, his his stance is pretty tall for this division. He's got the reach advantage He fights out of both sides. Asu Abmabayev fights out of orthodox. Relies a lot on his grappling. Asu Abmabayev gets about 4 takedowns per fight. Charles Johnson he's got some good scramblability. He does. I'm just gonna go with Asu Abmabayev to get this done, guys. Unk, he's been doing good, but he's just not that consistent as of late. He gets a loss, he gets a win. He has some wins though. He's got some wins, guys. If you see the wins this guy has, you'll be like, what? He beat that guy? And yes, let me show you real quick. He's got a win over Alex Perez. He's got a win against Tamarov. Crafty win there. He's got a win against, actually, sorry, those are freaking losses. He lost against Alex Perez, got knocked out. I'm sorry about that. Tamarov beat him. He's got a win against Kavanaugh. Now remember that knockout? Yeah, he's got a win over Kavanaugh. He's coming off a win against Bruno Silva, where Bruno Silva put it on Unk, right? He's got a win against Sumudurji. He's got a win over Joshua Van, the champion of this division. So, guys, this guy's got some pretty good wins in the flyweight division. I mean, if he had won against Alex Perez after beating Kavanaugh and then he probably could have gone for could have a stake in the championship conversation because of the win against Joshua Van, where he actually slept him. He slept him and Kavanaugh, 2 guys that are up there in the division. So, but I just don't think he's gonna beat Abmabayev. He's just got too much wrestling, too much ground control. Uh, maybe he gets caught in the first round, or Charles Johnson starts pretty slow, but maybe he gets caught at some point. But Amabayev is just gonna put it on him from the first round on. So I'm gonna go with Amabayev to get this done via decision or submission. I'm leaning towards the decision though. Amabayev for the win. Okay. All right, moving on to Nazim Zadikov against Mateus Camilo. And for those of you who don't know who Mateus Camilo is, this is that guy that Dana White. If you guys don't remember, there was a guy in one of the press conferences who took the mic and said, "Hey, I am 6-0, whatever, with these many finishes or whatever. Please sign me to the UFC." And Dana White was at one of his fights after that, and he was planning on signing him if he had a good performance, and he ended up losing the fight against this guy, Mateus Camilo. So Dana White was like, "You ain't getting signed to the UFC, but you showed heart. Come with me. You're getting signed to the UFC." This is that guy, Mateus Camilo. But Mateus Camilo, he hasn't been. I mean, he's coming off a win, but he did lose to Gabe Green. And really, Gabe Green, he's not that good, guys. Gabe Green is not that good. Hasn't fought in the UFC ever since. I don't even think he's signed to the UFC anymore. But yeah, Mateus Camilo is coming off a win against the Slava Claus, who is just a terrible fighter. And he took him to a third round. I don't know. I'm going to go with Nazim Sadikov to get this done. He's at home. Well, he fights in he trains in USA, but he's coming home to fight against Mateus Camilo. I'm going to take Nazim Zadikov to get this done. It's going to be a good fight, really, because they can both bang it out. But I think I'm strong on Sadikov on this one. I'm going to get Sadikov to get this done via decision. It's going to be probably fight of the night because they can both bang it out. But I'm going to go with Sadikov to get this done, okay? All right, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. We got Shara Magomedov against Michel Pereira. Shara Magomedov's record looks pretty good, man. He should be going for a title, but because he can't fight that often, I don't think he'll ever be a champion. He can't be that present because he can't fight in USA and stuff. So he's 16-1 against Michel Pereira, 32-14. Michel Pereira is coming off a win. Shara Bullet is coming off a win as well. Or actually he's coming off a win against Marc-Andre Barriault. Before that, he lost against Michael Venom Page. Before that, he won against Armen Petrosyan. Trocoli. He hasn't been fighting good opposition. But yeah, Michel Pereira has been fighting the better opposition out of the two, but he's been losing too. Now, he did get a crafty win against Zach Reese, split decision. I don't even think it was supposed to be split decision. It was contender for fight of the night. I mean, they were bloodied up. They were fighting like there's no tomorrow. And one of the questions that I had for this fight was Michel Pereira's gas tank for that fight. But he went all 3 rounds, and he was scoring in that third round too. Actually, that third round was a clear, if I'm not mistaken, that was a clear round for Michel Pereira, where he did most of the damage on the feed especially going to the body against Zach Reese. Those knees down the middle. That's crazy. That was a crazy win. I don't know how Zach Reese would stand all those punches. So, but against Shara Magomedov, man, I don't know. I don't know if Michel Pereira is gonna be able to beat Shara Magomedov, man. I'm gonna go with Shara Magomedov to get this done, and I'm gonna go with TKO round 2. TKO round 2 against Michel Pereira. Shara Bullet is beloved in this part of the world, so he's got tons of fans over there. So I'm gonna go with Shara Bullet to get this done against Michel Pereira. TKO round 2. Tough fight though. Tough fight. Believe me, they're gonna bang it out. We're gonna see some spinning out. We're gonna see some crazy stuff on this fight. Spinning elbows, wheel kicks, stumps on the ground. We're gonna see a bunch of shit in this fight. But eventually Magomedov is going to beat the crap out of Michel Pereira. All right, moving on to the main event of the evening. Rafael Fiziev against Manuel Torres. Not Rafael Torres, Manuel Torres. Fiziev, my brother, man, one of my favorite fighters, man. The guy has some good stand-up, man. He's got some good stand-up. He's, he's a small guy for the division. He's a small guy for the division. That I can say. But he's got some good combinations and a lot of pressure, man. All out fighter, man. All or nothing. This guy is all or nothing. He's got some good finishes. He finished Renato Moicano's early stoppage, and some people say, but I think, I think he's got some good hand speed, good head movement. But he struggles with fighters with good reach, and Manuel Torres has some good reach for the division. I don't know if Manuel Torres has been slept too by Bahamondes and shelled up pretty quick. He got knocked down twice in that fight. But hey, they call him a Loco Torres for something. I'm going to go with Manuel Torres to get this done, man. I'm going to go with Manuel Torres to get this done. Fiziev's days are far behind him. Not far, because he was looking pretty good against Justin Gaethje. And he was also looking good against Rufi. Better than fucking Michael Chandler. He was looking pretty good, except when he started getting pieced up by Mauricio Rufi's jab. So you see, Mauricio Rufi's got some good reach, uses that jab pretty good. Manuel Torres, it's not that he uses jab. He's going to have to use the jab on this one. But again, Fiziev can catch him. He can catch him. He can catch him coming in just like Bahamondes did. Because Manuel Torres he's a loco. He's crazy. He comes at you with a bunch of punches, finishes you. He's got good power on his hands. But I don't know. I don't think Fiziev can withstand those punches, late. It's a five round fight. Eventually the damage is going to wear off. It's going to wear on Fiziev. And Manuel Torres is going to get a TKO win. I'm not going to go with an early TKO. This is isn't this like Manuel Torres' first ever 5-round fight? Let's see. Is this Manuel Torres' first 5-round fight? He's fought at a co-main event. But yeah, this is in the UFC. This is Manuel Torres' first 5-round fight. So he's got to take that into account and just wear off Fiziev round by round. And let it not be too late, because Fiziev, he can, he puts up the pressure in the early rounds. So I'm going to go with Manuel Torres to get this done. TKO round 4. TKO round 4. So guys, those were my picks right there. I'm going to go recap real quick right here what I have. All right, let's go. Let's go first fight of the night. I took Nascimento. Second fight of the night, I took Begzat Amakan. Then we took Danil Dachenko to get this done via TKO. Then I took my underdog, which is Khan Offley. Then I went with Ruziboev. I went with a submission on this one. Then we went with a TKO with Jakyayev. Then we went with Eric Nolan. That's my other underdog pick. Then I went with Michel Oleksiejczuk with a late TKO or a decision. Then I went with Ikram to get this done KO, TKO, round 1, whatever you call it. But it's getting done in the first minute of the first round. Then I went with Asu Amabayev to get a crafty win against Charles Johnson. Maybe definitely a decision. Then I went with Nazim Zadikov, potential fight of the night right there against Mateus Camilo. Decision. Then I went with Shara Bullet to get this done against Michel Pereira, KO round 2. And then I went with Manuel Torres with a late TKO round 4 or 5. All right. So those were my picks for UFC Baku. Hope you guys liked the video. Please subscribe. Let me know in the comments who you got for this UFC Baku. And take care.